And thanks for staying with us, everyone. You're watching What Now? Now let's turn attention to the Middle East. The United Arab Emirates says it will withdraw its remaining forces from Yemen. This follows a demand by the Yemeni Presidential Council, backed by Saudi Arabia, asking the UAE to pull out its troops within 24 hours. The UAE's announcement followed an airstrike carried out by Saudi-led military coalition on what it said was a weapons shipment for UAE-backed separatist forces, positioned in the southern port of Mukalla. The UAE has denied the shipment contained weapons and expressed deep regret at Saudi Arabia's accusations. Saudi Arabia also accused the UAE of pressuring the separatists to attack Saudi-backed government forces in two eastern provinces and warned it would take measures to confront such, quote, highly dangerous actions. In reaction, the United Arab Emirates Defense Ministry put out a statement announcing the termination of the remaining counter-terrorism personnel in Yemen of its own volition. The UAE's Defense Ministry explained that the decision to withdraw them was made in response to recent developments and their potential implications for the safety and effectiveness of counter-terrorism missions. But it did not mention the coalition strike or the warning by Saudi Arabia. All right, let's bring in our guest now. He is the chairman of the 16th Council, Executive Chairman, 16th Council UK, Dr. Brian Reuben. Good to have you join us.
Thank you, Precious.
So for the first time, not for the first time, these two countries, UAE and Saudi Arabia, are allies, and we're seeing a growing rift between both countries. I mean, what's your thought on this latest escalation?
It happens. Allies can disagree. But this development didn't come out of nowhere. It reveals a fault line that has existed for years, really, inside the Gulf coalition. You see, Saudi Arabia and the UAE entered the Yemeni war as partners against the Houthis, but they were never aligned on what victory actually meant. For Saudi Arabia, priority has always been a unified, stable Yemen that doesn't threaten a southern border. But for the UAE, by contrast, it's different. Their focus has been on securing ports, coastlines, and strategic access points through reliable local partners, particularly the STC, that's the Southern Transitional Council. So the Saudi strike on the separatist-held port crossed an unspoken red line. The UAE's decision to withdraw is less about Yemen and more about signaling that it will not subordinate its regional strategy to that to react.
So what does this mean for the stability of that region? Because both countries are also clashing on their stance on Somaliland, on Sudan, and several other regions. And these are both countries are powerhouse when it comes to the Middle East in terms of economy, backed by the volume of oil in their countries.
Well, the implication is, like I did say, is about strategic interests. It's a reminder that Gulf unity is transactional, not automatic. The idea of a single discipline Gulf front is increasingly outdated. States are now pursuing parallel strategies based on their own threat perceptions and economic interests. So for the region, this means more competition through proxies and local powers rather than large-scale intervention. It also signals that middle powers like the UAE are confident enough to actually walk away from conflicts that no longer serve their strategic calculus. So that mindset is becoming more common across the Middle East.
And how do you think President Trump is watching all of this? He's been, in his first tenure, he was very big on the Abraham Accords, where he was trying to get some level of normalization of ties between UAE and Israel. That did happen. But Saudi Arabia has not normalized ties. Both countries are allies to the US. So how will he be watching this in terms of steps that he might take?
President Trump is going to be very careful and only intervene if it threatens U.S. interests or that of Israel. Right now, that's not the case. It doesn't in any way still threaten that. And this because what you see is that this is not a collapse of relations for both countries. But it's a clear strategic divergence. Saudi Arabia and UAE, they will still cooperate economically, diplomatically, and on broader regional issues. They will. What we just see is that Yemen has become the clearest example of where their interests no longer align. So Riyadh views Yemen primarily as a national security buffer. Abu Dhabi views it differently as a part of a wider maritime influence map, stretching across the Red Sea and all of Africa. So President Trump and the United States will be watching carefully. I don't foresee any immediate intervention or response to this.
All right, Dr. Brian, I'm just going to put you on hold as we interrupt a lineup of news and cross over to Rivers State, where we'll bring you the live coverage of the LMA political leaders welcome event for Nyesom Wike, who is the Minister of the FCT. We'll bring you that live coverage now, but remember you can scan the QR code on the screen to continue to watch TVC News and What Now on YouTube and on our Biscay Beat channel. All right, so the issue here, Dr. Brian, is around just I'm looking for the right word that seems a bit mild, but just the interference in other countries, for example, Yemen, Sudan, Somaliland. How should this be addressed? Because we find that countries are clashing more, not for issues between their countries, but how the dominance they want to have, especially in places like Africa.
I once did an article for the Sustained Council that I titled, it was focused on what I call geopolitical freelancing, which is what we are saying. It's a situation where countries commit more to their interests more than values and even historical ties. And that's what we're seeing more, right? In this case, as we can see, Saudi Arabia, they struck a port control by UAE aligned force. It wasn't just a battlefield incident. It challenged Abu Dhabi's regional position. And then the withdrawal is also a controlled step back, not an emotional reaction, you see, but it signals reduced trust. We're going to see the world, we're going to see situations like this play out much more, in the coming year and the years ahead, because especially with the United States adopting the America First strategy, that is solidifying that approach. A lot of other countries are beginning to take their primary interest serious, and where interest doesn't align, you can see things like this happening. I mean, we've seen that with the United States sanctioning allies, penalizing them, looking after their interests. And we see Turkey do similar things. We see Turkey buy weapons from Russia, and then they're still a part of NATO. So all the while, it's about, we're seeing India buy oil from Russia, align with America, align with China at the same time. So this is not new. It has been happening, and it's going to intensify in the coming years.
Well, we're following developments in the Middle East. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Executive Chairman of the 16th Council, Dr. Brian Robin.
Thank you very much for having me. And